previous video how to express a vector algebraically. Now let's look at some simple operations on vectors. So let's imagine we have two vectors expressed as A equals AXI plus AYJ plus AZK, and then another vector B expressed as its components and the unit vectors. First thing we might want to do is add two vectors together, or alternatively subtract them by applying a negative multiplier to one of the vectors. So if we want to add together two vectors, all this vector addition, we're going to write that as A plus B. And this is pretty simple. It's straightforward, just what you might expect. You're going to add the components of those two vectors. So I'm going to have the x component multiplied by the I unit vector, the y component multiplied by the j unit vector, and the z component multiplied by the k unit vector. And in each of these terms, I'm basically just going to add the x components, y components, and z components together. So I have ax plus bx, ay plus by, az plus bz. That's how you add two vectors together. We may also want to multiply two vectors together, and actually there are several ways you can do that. With scalars, there's really only one option for multiplication. You just multiply the two values together. But with vectors, there are different ways you can multiply them together to get either scalar results or vector results, or there are other types of multiplication where you can get higher order tensors, but we'll leave that concept to another video. So the first type of multiplication, we'll just call it scalar multiplication. So this is the simplest of the multiplication operations on vectors. So if I take a scalar alpha and multiply it by the vector A, again I'll sort of set up my three components here. So I have my x component I vector, y component j vector, and z component k vector. And then all I'm going to do in scalar multiplication is multiply each of the components by that alpha coefficient. So alpha times ax, alpha times ay, and alpha times az. Those are my three components of the vector multiplied by a scalar. The other types of multiplication are a little more complex, so we'll take a closer look at them.